Okay, let's see. So I will give an introduction in the Jülich Supercomputing Centre, and to start with that, I start with a research center. We are part of the Jülich Research Center, is one of the big German research centers. It's Europe's largest multidisciplinary research center and was founded back in 1956 as a nuclear research center. But the whole nuclear history is gone nowadays, maybe except some security research, but we do a lot of other things. So it's a huge area. I have a picture of that, and we have more than 5,000 employees there with a lot of scientists visiting us. And in 1961, the Supercomputing Center was founded as the Central Institute for Applied Mathematics to, well, first fit the developing demand of compute resources for the center itself. Now it's the largest single institute inside the research center, and we have more than 200 employees there. And we are a member of the Gauss Center for Supercomputing, which is the overall envelope of the 3 German national supercomputing centers. So this is the whole campus, and this is where the institute is located, and this, well, silver thing here, this is our machine hall. So plenty of stuff there. So the Supercomputing Center itself, we do several things. First is to really operate compute resources for different entities. First of all, for the center itself, also in a collaboration with the nearby Aachen University, and as part of the Gauss Center, also for research institutions within Germany, and as a member of PRAISE, we also put cycles into the PRAISE budget. So there are a lot of ways how scientists from all over Europe can apply for compute time on our different systems. We also do research and development, so on the software side, tools, algorithms, and that. But also on the hardware side, we have exascale labs with IBM, Intel, NVIDIA, where we do co-design, influence future developments. And we try to support our users in some special support infrastructure. So we have our own research groups doing research as normal research groups on university do, develop their own code, but also involved in community codes. We have so-called simulation labs, which are scientists from different fields in-house, which closely collaborate with communities to help them to adapt their community codes to our systems, teach them in scaling, I/O, whatever. And so they on one side communicate with the communities and their demands, and they also give feedback into the exascale labs, and also in the teams that do the in-house software development of tools and that stuff. The usage of our systems, so here 2 systems, the high scaling system, BlueGene Q. Well, it mostly is elementary particle physics and a lot of fluid dynamics. And as Dave asked in his talk, well, especially those guys that are extremely successive in running their applications on 28 racks of BlueGene-Q. So from time to time, we really have so-called big weeks where we only allow full system runs. And they were able to run really a whole week of simulation on 28 racks of BlueGene to get their results. So Eureka is more general purpose, and their distribution is a little bit more versatile, but still elementary particle physics, and especially QCD is a large amount of cycles burned. So back in 2004, we installed the Power 4, and from there we had a dual system approach with installing the first BlueGene L 8-rack system, then upgraded to 72-rack BlueGene P, and finally to 28 racks BlueGene Q. And on this other side, we already always had some general purpose cluster type systems here. So around the 2009, 2010 timeframe, we had separate file systems on both sides, but due to the fact that people often do simulations on the BlueGene side and then do post-production or analyzing their data on the cluster side, we decided to have a shared GPFS file system overall. Systems there. So at the moment, we have, even though the local press already announced the death of the Queen, well, it is still up and running, at least if the file system lets us run. And it's really extremely stable. And so at the moment, we think we will shut it finally down in May this year. So, yeah, and the users are happy with it and asking, well, can't you run it even longer, even though we don't have any support on that, but the hardware is really stable. So on the general purpose side, we have a Haswell-based system, standard number of compute nodes, some K80s for NVIDIA. I mean, you can read the numbers in the end. And both systems are connected to the same GPFS storage system, which is based on 33 building blocks of IBM's GSS storage system, 10 petabytes for, scratch data, and for the home file systems, and some HSM managed archive file system. And so we have the big systems connected to it, but also other small development systems, test systems, or community systems. They all use the same file system. So this was also installed with the BlueGene back in 2012, 2013. And so at the moment, we are really busy in completely replacing everything there. So as you have seen, we have traditional landscape here with dedicated system, and they are connected through a shared storage, so people can access their data transparently on all systems. Where we are going now is to a more modular concept in supercomputing. So the idea is that, for example, if you look into climate codes, you have coupled systems of really different type of codes. So you have ocean model, atmospheric models, maybe some land models, and they have completely different scaling, behavior, or demands on amount of memory, and so on. And so the idea is to really couple all these nowadays really isolated systems. Also on the communication layer. So the idea is that, for example, you can run one part of your simulation on a cluster module with powerful CPUs, and also run another part of your simulation on a high-scaling many-core type system with single weak cores. So the first incarnation of this model is an extension we did to Eureka, our general purpose system, with a KNL booster. Well, it has 1600 KNL nodes, omnipath network. It's also connected to the shared file system. But we did a combined LinPack run for the top 500. So the result from the last top 500 is a LinPack that ran on both, on the Haswell and the KNL part at the same time. And this is why the system also appears as a single entity in the top 500. So, and well, we will see how people adopt this usage model. I mean, it was a discussion a little bit big and forth, but we had the same discussion with the BlueGene line when we first installed the BlueGene L in 2005, 2006. Everyone was saying, well, how should we use that? It's totally useless. No one can scale up to that. And in the end, when the system is there, people are, well, looking into it, and if it's attractive enough, they take their hands on their code and try to use it. So as a replacement for the BlueGene, we are at the moment installing a built Sequana-based Skylake system. So this is how it looks at the moment. So we are really in the process of installing it. It will have, well, dual core, so 48 core nodes, Skylakes. We will have some Volta accelerated nodes just to get users, give them hands-on to GPUs. And it will have, well, at least from the marketing numbers, 12 petaflop of peak performance, and we will see how efficient this will be in the end with the AVX512 and the Skylake. And it will use EDR, InfiniBand, and we plan in the 2019-20 timeframe to also add an InfiniBand-based booster module to that stuff. And so we're installing a compute part. And as the storage is also old and getting full, and at the same time, we are moving in a new Lenovo DSS-based high-performance storage with roughly 60 petabyte of file system capacity in the end, and around half a terabyte read for 400 gigabyte write performance, based on a 100 gig Ethernet backbone. So the reason why we choose the Ethernet backbone is because when you try to connect more and more compute parts, it can get really complicated if you want to really put a shared storage into each communication network, and so we decided to stay on that side with Ethernet and then bridge the IP traffic from the Ethernet side, wires, bridges, different types of, into the communication network of the system itself. And the nice thing with that is so that with GPFS that we can really have a transparent migration from the old hardware to the new one without interrupting the production to that. And as the head of our department is at the moment really good in getting hands on even more money, we additionally install some roughly 90, don't know where we really will end. Additional storage, so it's a slower one, but it's for huge data sets that we also get from experiments. So for example, we have an institute on the campus which they slice human brains and do high resolution scans of them to then reconstruct or produce a 3D model of the brain where you can see where all those neural connections go. And they produce terabytes of data a week with those high resolution scans. So we will get at least that amount of storage, but for this procurement, we choose a framework contract, so we can easily, if more money pops up, extend that capacity if we need. And if you ask the users, well, they need more and more capacity. So we are really busy at the moment moving in all this hardware. So this is how the machine hall looks at the moment. So in the front, we have a new tape library from IBM. So that's a Blue Gene, still up and running. The storage here on this side, where we have in the middle, this is the old storage. So on the back part of the machine hall, we installed the new high-performance storage. Here in the front is the new large capacity storage. And when the data is migrated, we will move out some racks in the middle to make room for even more storage. This is Eureka, the general purpose Haswell system. This is the KNL cluster here. And here in the middle, we are installing the Sequana system. Plus, we have electricians here installing the sub-distribution units. You need to power all that stuff. So at the moment, it's a little bit a nightmare